Hello, 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 and welcome to our Financial Literacy Forum once again. For those joining us via Zoom and interacting with us on the forum, welcome to all of you. And for those of you joining us through YouTube, welcome to all of you. Can I hear some participation here? Roger, how are you? Hello, can you hear me? Elizabeth, never mind, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay, great. I can't see you guys. How are you today? We are on. Where are you?
Yes, I'm very well. Thanks.
Okay, great. Good to have you around. Never mind. How is Zim today?
Zim is all right. It's just hot these days.
Okay, no. Welcome to today's interaction. Elizabeth,
thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Favor. How are you? Hi, everyone.
Hi. Zim is also hot for you.
Yes, it's very hot today.
Okay, that's fine. Welcome. Good to have you around.
Thank you.
Nyakabi, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How is Kenya today?
For us, we are still yet to experience the very hot season, but it's getting better.
Okay, that's okay. So it's cold, in other words.
Yes.
Okay, welcome to the forum. Good to have you around. Okay, I can see Engineer Libet has joined us today. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. Favor. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Still in India?
Yeah, still in India. How are you? How is Zambia?
Zambia is good. How about you? How are things there?
Yeah, things are good. A bit hot, but yeah, we are adjusted to that.
Okay, that's great. Good to have you around. I'm excited actually to have you around.
Thank you so much. I'm excited as well.
Okay, great. I can see Roger is with us as well. I've not interacted with him, but I'm sure he'll be able to join us as we go. So welcome everybody to those joining us on Zoom, and for those watching us on YouTube, once again, welcome to you. And yeah, let's begin today's interaction. So as usual, we all know that based on how we progress with our program, we are going to start out with our book for the week. Okay. So for today's book, we'll be looking at the 7 habits of highly effective people. So just for me to get an idea, is Mr. Nevermind, what comes to your mind when you hear 7 habits of highly effective people?
Yeah, I think you can come in again. I didn't get you clear.
Yeah, I was saying that the book that we'll be going through today, or to begin our interaction, is the 7 habits of highly effective people. So what comes to your mind when you hear the title 7 habits of highly effective people?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first thing is that effective leaders, they make bold decisions, and they also take action. They don't just talk, but they take massive action for them to be successful. I think the other thing is that they take the issue of financial literacy very seriously, because it contributes much to their success. I think also they have a positive mindset. I think those are the other things that I may think of when looking at successful people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Never mind. So let's connect with a video summary that we can go through, explaining the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Then when we get back, let's just share some insights based on the book, and then we can get into our topic for the day. So I'll be with you shortly. Let's enjoy the video for now.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Habit number 1, proactivity. Several years ago, I was meeting with 2 of my former colleagues from an internship program that I attended when I was a student. All 3 of us worked in the same department, and afterwards we became regular employees. I left the company after a few months, but they stayed. Since we didn't meet each other for several years, we started to talk about the good old days, the family, what we're doing now, etc. I learned that 1 year later, after I left the company, one of them also left. And when I asked the reason, he explained that he worked hard, but management didn't appreciate it. He wanted a higher salary, but the company always responded by saying that we don't have a budget. So he improved his skills and moved to an even better company. He said that it was great that they did not increase his salary, otherwise, he would have stayed there and had not gotten the great position and salary that he has now. When he finished talking, the second guy also started to talk negative things about the company and said similar things about management and salaries. However, compared to the first one, he was still working in the same company. He said that management hadn't changed much and that they still weren't appreciating employees and that they were not willing to increase salaries. And that's why his salary and position hadn't changed much. He blamed the company culture, management, bad working environment, etc. If you've noticed, both of these guys gave the same reasons for their current situation in life. One moved on to a different company and got a better salary because of bad management and low salaries, and another one used the same reasons for not getting a higher salary and promotion. The author says that there are 2 types of people in life: reactive and proactive people. Reactive people are like the second colleague who stayed in the same company. These types of people always focus on things that they can't change or control. They always complain about the economy, inflation, management, bad company culture, low salaries, etc. They use these reasons as justification for not being successful. On the other hand, proactive people don't spend their limited energy on things that they can't change. They understand that they can't change the company, but they can learn new skills and move to a different company. They always focus on things that they can change. So the first habit of highly successful people is being proactive. Habit 2, begin with an end in mind. Imagine you're attending a funeral. When you arrive at the place, you see the sad faces of friends and relatives and you accompany them in their pain. However, when you approach the coffin, you realize that the one inside is you. Actually, this is your own funeral that will take place in 3 years. Then you start listening to what friends, coworkers, and family say about you. How would you like to be remembered? Think about how you want your life to be during those last 3 years of your life. What kind of friend would you like to be? What kind of boss? What kind of husband or wife, father or mother do you hope to be? What achievements do you want people to remember about you? How would you like to influence the lives of the people around you? The second habit is to start by having a clear idea about your destination, goal, or objective. This habit involves reflecting on whether each of your daily acts are compatible with the goal you want to achieve. When you have the end goal in mind, then it becomes easier to say no to the things that do not get you closer to your end goal. Unfortunately, many of us fail at this and our daily actions do not match with our end goals. For example, if your goal is to learn a new skill after work so you can get a promotion, then why are you going out for a beer with your friend every day instead of educating yourself? If your goal is to become a better parent, then why are you watching TV while your kid asks you questions and tries to play with you? If your goal is to create a business so that you can quit your job one day, then why are you spending your free time watching TV? If you look at your goals and compare it with your daily actions, you will be amazed to see how many things that you do that have nothing to do with your goals. You will be amazed to see how much time you spend with people who have nothing to do with your goals. If you don't believe me, just take a piece of paper and on the left side, write down your goals. And on the right side, write down all the things you do within a day, such as people you meet, projects you work on, YouTube channels you watch, etc. If you do this for 1 week, you will easily see how most of your daily actions have nothing to do with your goals, but you still keep doing them anyway. Habit 3, prioritize. Many people's priorities are family, starting a business, educating their children, but none of their actions have that direction. For example, you cannot spend quality time with your family if you have a strenuous workday and you use your free time to watch the entire season of your favorite Netflix series. As a tool to establish priorities, the author shows the time management matrix in the book. This matrix can help you separate the important from the urgent. In Quadrant 1, the urgent and important are matters that have a deadline, things that require immediate action. For example, if you have to deliver an order requested by your client with a deadline, you write this task in Quadrant 1. In Quadrant 2, what is not urgent but important are matters related to your personal and professional development, the achievement of your macro objectives, activities that will help you execute your life plan. For example, if you must attend a graphic design course that day, do 30 minutes of exercises or continue reading a finance book. Write those activities in Quadrant 2. In Quadrant 3, the urgent but not important are all those frequent interruptions of each day. For example, phone calls, messages on WhatsApp or Messenger, and unimportant social meetings. Finally, in Quadrant 4 are matters of little importance or urgency, such as leisure time and entertainment. Many people remain stuck in Quadrant 3, thinking that it is Quadrant 1, and others waste valuable time of their life playing on their phone. But highly effective people focus on Quadrant 2, the not urgent but important. Habit 4, win-win. The author tells that he has the experience of working for the president of a company who had a very common problem. Employees did not cooperate with each other, did not work as a team, had conflicting relationships and defensive attitudes. As a result, the team's performance was poor. The president asked the author for help, who asked in return, "Is there some kind of reward for not cooperating?" The president said, "There is no reward for not cooperating, and the reward for cooperating is great." The president was trying to motivate employees by awarding a trip to Bermuda. "Which one of you will win a trip to Bermuda?" he said. The president's intentions to encourage cooperation were of no use when what he was actually doing was inducing employees to compete with each other. So their attitude was only a logical consequence of the flawed paradigm that the president used to motivate, in which the result would be that some would win and others would lose. The win-win is creating agreements that seek mutual benefit. This is a cooperative, not a competitive paradigm. When a person thinks of win-win, he knows that success is not achieved at the expense of other people. In other words, for me to win, you don't have to lose. For example, let's say you also have a YouTube channel where you summarize books. I check your channel and see that you have good content, so I recommend your channel to my subscribers. Suddenly, you get thousands of new subscribers and decide to check out my channel. You also see that I have good content and decide to recommend my channel to your subscribers. As a result, I also get thousands of new subscribers. This is a win-win. Both of us get new subscribers, plus our audiences discover new videos. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Imagine that you have vision problems and you go to the ophthalmologist. You tell the doctor your problem and he just gives you glasses and asks you to wear them. But when using them, you realize that they don't work for you and you tell the doctor. But he insists, "Sure they work. They work for me. Try harder." However, despite your efforts, you still see blurry. So you insist, and the doctor only says, "What is wrong with you? You must think positively." In this way, the problem is not solved. Would you go back to that ophthalmologist? Personally, I wouldn't go back to a doctor who doesn't diagnose before prescribing. This is also the case during communication between people. We usually prescribe without diagnosing during conversations, without listening carefully. To interact effectively with others, we must understand. And to understand, empathic listening is required. Many misunderstandings occur while talking on the phone or texting. Communication experts estimate that words are only 10% of everything we communicate. 30% corresponds to tone and other sounds, and 60% we communicate through body language. The next time you really want to understand another person, you should not only listen to them with your ears, but also with your heart. It's not just about hearing the words spoken, but also observing the emotions expressed. When you empathically listen, the result will be an improvement in your interactions with your friends, your boss, or your colleagues. Habit 6, synergize. When birds fly in groups to travel long distances, They often use a V formation. Scientists have analyzed birds in flight when they use this formation and have found that the V formation helps the birds behind to take advantage of the current of the air created by the birds in front with the movement of their wings. Scientists have observed that even they synchronize their movements and alternate positions during flight. This is just one example from nature that shows how cooperation enables us to achieve results effectively. Successful people are very good at creating synergies. They understand that time is limited and they can't be good at everything. For example, if you need animation like the one you see right now, you can either spend many hours learning how to do it yourself, then it would be a great example of synergy. Another real-life example to synergy is the relationship between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Wozniak was a great engineer, and Steve Jobs was a great salesperson. The synergy of these two people led to the creation of Apple. If they worked individually, maybe we wouldn't have Apple today. We're all different. We all have different capacities and different ways of perceiving the same reality. This might seem like a weakness if we analyze it individually, but when we do it collectively, it becomes a strength. Habit 7, sharpen the saw. One day a man was cutting a tree and his neighbor approached and said that his saw looked quite blunt, and if he sharpened it, he could cut the tree much faster. And the man responded, "I don't have time for it." You might laugh at this man for not spending time sharpening his saw, but the truth is that most of us are exactly like him. We want to be healthy, but we don't spend 30 minutes every day for exercise. We want to be smart, but we don't spend 20 minutes reading. We want a great family, but we don't spend quality time with our kids and partner. We want to be focused and relaxed, but we don't take 10 minutes every day to meditate. We want to be excited about our work on Monday, but we don't take proper rest during the weekend. For a long time, I failed to sharpen my saw. I would work the whole week, plus the weekends. I was thinking that I was doing great and I was being productive since I was working every day. But in reality, I was always feeling tired, was making a lot of mistakes. And worst of all, I was getting sick very often. I was thinking that by working weekends, I was gaining 2 extra days. But the truth is that I was getting sick so often that I was spending many more days in bed, or I was getting so tired that I couldn't produce anything valuable. Those 2 days I was gaining from weekends were soon being erased by sick days or unproductive days. I learned the hard way that rest days are as important as your normal working days. As you plan your working days, you must also plan your rest days in advance. We are all in a hurry and we all want to get a lot of things done. And that's why we push our body to its limits and forget to sharpen the saw. Our body has its limits, and when you reach them, your body says, "You know what? I'm not playing it anymore. Go to hell." I had a friend who worked hard for a company in an office sitting in front of a computer. His boss always complimented him because my friend was one of the most productive workers in the company. As time passed, my friend gained weight and his health deteriorated. His absenteeism increased and his productivity decreased. His boss recommended that he start a daily routine of physical exercise, but he replied, "I don't have time to exercise." This continued until my friend lost his job and lost his health. This is an example of how focusing on what is urgent makes us unable to deal with what is truly important. Sharpening the saw means managing the resources you have to achieve your goals. And the main resources you have are your body and your mind. Properly distributing your time throughout the day to attend not only to the urgent, but also to the important will help you lead a much more balanced life. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so I love to watch video summaries, and I hope we have people as well who do love to watch video summaries of books. So if you want to watch more video summaries like that, there's a channel called A Little Bit Better on YouTube that you can check out, and I'm sure you'll be amazed by the content that you find there. So that was for today's book. So can I just interact with a few of you to get some insights from the book, and then we can proceed to the topic for the day. Okay, so maybe I can check if Roger is there. I never got to greet you properly. Roger, are you there?
Sorry, I've been a bit busy. But I'm around. I'm around. I didn't actually watch the whole book. Yeah.
Okay. But did you manage to
Now
pick anything out?
the habits. I think that's habit number. I joined on habit number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's fine. So from what
Yeah.
you picked out, what stood out for you anyway, if you can share?
Nogabi, please help.
Yogabi, did you manage to catch
Yeah, Nogabi.
content?
Nogabi start then now.
Then you'll be able to pitch in.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the habits that I I saw was that effective people are proactive rather than reactive. You don't wait for the situation to find you or the opportunity to find you. You go create your own opportunity. So to be successful, be proactive. Then for successful people also, I saw that you don't have to, me and you, just because we're in the same field, we don't have to compete for one of us to be successful. Rather, we can collaborate and learn from each other, and in that way, we can both grow.
Mhm.
If I say all of them, will be unfair. Can I pass?
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for that feedback, Yokabi. Even the concept of complaining actually falls under being reactive. Huh? What do you think about the topic of complaining, Yokabi?
I think it's in our nature that we complain, but it's something that you should see that something happens for a reason rather than just complain about why something is happening. We should program and change the mindset to see the reason as to why things are actually happening.
Okay, so you think someone can stop complaining? Do you think it's possible? Like you just stop complaining?
Yes, because I'm one of the people. So
Okay.
it's something that I am working on. It's
Yeah.
yes, I believe that each and every day it's something that is possible because I'm trying to do it. I find a reason as to why something is happening rather
Yeah.
than just complaining that this thing is happening to me.
Yeah.
There may be a lesson, there may be something in it.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for that, Yokabi, once again. Mr. Roger, do you believe someone can stop complaining?
I think with me, it depends with the type of uh, issues that make one to complain. Because when you stop complaining, then at the end of the day, you won't achieve what you want to see. I've always been complaining that let's make sure that our videos are on. And I'm not going to stop. Because once I stop, then it means what I want to achieve will never come.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
Yes, so it's not everything that you should stop complaining. And then when you complain at one point, people will say, "Okay, I think this person has complained too much. Let's just
it's complain too
start."
much.
That's my understanding.
No, you have a fair point. You have a fair point. But according
Thank
to
you.
the author, he says complaining is a sign of being reactive. So rather than complaining, in this case, according to the author would have to figure out a way to have people turn on their videos without complaining about it. You get
Today I went as far as buying goggles so that I put on goggles and try to see if people will say, okay, that is wonderful. Let's all put on, show our videos. But everyone is, I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. I'll continue complaining until.
That's interesting. Okay, that's a good perspective. Thanks for that. That's an interesting
Thank,
perspective. Thanks for that, Roger.
thank you.
Never mind. What do you think about complaining?
Okay, sorry, I didn't notice that I was muted. I think it all depends, but it's effective not to complain, but to say it in another way that can persuade the other side to do what you want them to do, rather than just complaining. Sometimes people, if they see that they have a manager who always complain, they will feel that he is not up to standard. Yeah, that's my thinking.
That's interesting. So, okay, apart from the being proactive and reactive, is there any other habit that stood out for you that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think habit number 5, 6, and 7. I'll start with
Okay.
habit number 7,
Yeah.
sharpening the saw. I think we need to take time to exercise or to practice, even to learn. Personal development is very important
Yeah.
in shaping your goals, especially your objectives. You'll be able to achieve them if you learn more in that area. Let's say you want to start a mining business. You also need to invest a considerable time in the mining, in information or educative material in the mining sector. Yeah, that will also help. And the other one, the number 6, which was saying successful people are good at creating synergies. I saw most people, they succeed because they make synergies with others. We were given an example of Steve Jobs and Steve Wiscombe. They collaborated and came up with Apple brand, and the Apple brand is outstanding. One was one was a salesperson, and the other one was an engineer. So I think it also it came out also outstanding to me. The other one, the number 5, uh, which was talking about listening carefully and understanding the other part before answering. I think that's a prerequisite character for a successful person. Because most people, they don't get good ideas from others because they think they know everything. Yet you can even know better when you first listen from the other side. I think those 3 were outstanding to me. Thank you.
Okay. Very interesting. Thanks for that feedback. Never mind. So what we'll do is, because of time, we'll head right into the topic of the day, so that we can continue interacting. So last week, the 2 weeks ago when we had our interaction, we talked about assets and liabilities. I think Roger did a very good job just walking us through the whole idea behind assets and liabilities. And we even had a slight debate about what control means and what ownership means and what matters the most, whether it's control, ownership. I really want us to revisit that. But for today, before we even get to think about revisiting those conversations, let's just do something interesting, okay? Let's try to identify what an asset is by trying to look at some pictures and deciding whether it's an asset or not. Okay, I think that would be a very interesting exercise for today, just for us to run through and share our insights and minds on that, building up on the last 2 weeks that we had this forum running. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen. I'll start with first defining what we defined an asset to be. But not only that, I also start by defining an asset by how I understand it. Okay, so let's get into it. The topic for today, identifying the asset. So what is an asset? This is what generally I get to sum an asset into based on the conversations that we've had. An asset puts currency, not money. Okay, I think this is a discussion as well that we'll probably revisit, the difference between money and currency. So an asset puts currency in your pocket while it does this while giving you back your time. Okay, so in other words, it's supposed to be able to put currency in your pocket, but even if you're not involved with it, it still does it, hence giving you back your time. Okay, initially, maybe as you put in your time, it might not give you the currency, but once it starts to give you the currency, you can step back and it will still give you currency. So you can buy back your time, in other words. Huh? So that, for me, by definition, is an asset. I don't know if the definition makes sense. Can we use this definition to go ahead and identify some assets? What do you think? Can we go ahead?
Yeah.
All right, let's proceed then. So, person or house, what do you think? Is this an asset based on the definition that we just gave?
Okay, can I come in?
Yeah, sure. Feel free to just unmute and speak.
Okay, thanks. I wanted to get clarification from our definition.
Okay,
It
so
seems there's no element of ownership.
yeah, I've not put any element of ownership or control in this definition because I feel like that's a different dimension. So I want to simplify it for the sake of building the concepts
Okay,
properly. Yes.
okay. So let's go to the picture now.
Okay, so that's a personal house. Is it an asset?
Yeah,
I think.
it's a very good house. From the definition, this house can be an asset or it cannot be an
No,
asset.
okay, we're going to lead the asset. There's no middle.
Because there are things that we need to understand first.
Yes,
Whether yes, it's a personal house.
yes.
Um, if it's an asset, it means you are either saving, you are either getting some savings
Mm.
from this house, or you are getting income. Or in short, your expenses on this house are less than what you are getting in terms of income or cost reductions for
Okay.
us to say this is an asset. So so it depends. You can't say it's an asset or a liability before getting more information about the house.
Okay.
And it's a
The
beautiful
only
house.
information that's there is it's a personal house. So let's say,
Okay.
okay, let me try to hear from Livette. Livette, what do you think? I don't know if Livette is in.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what I think, since it's a personal house, it means, from my perspective, it is a liability from my own, because it is not clear whether that house is rented or not. But since it's a personal house, it means that you are going to pay the bills. It means that you are going to maintain everything. You have workers there that are going to be cleaning. So it means that it's going to take some money from you. So it's not going to give you time because it's your own house, actually. So I think at this with this information provided, just personal means that at least sometimes for me, I see it as it's a liability, not an asset.
Okay, interesting perspective. Like, can we get one more perspective, Roger, maybe?
Okay, first of all, going with the definition of an entrepreneurship. Is it an entrepreneurship or an entrepreneur? Going with the definition of an entrepreneur who is an economist.
Yes.
I think is a liability. But I've got a question. As I think in this field with Mr. Nevermind, we always ask someone to give us his or her net worth. And net worth is you subtract liabilities from assets. So for me to arrive at my net worth, am I supposed to subtract the value of my house?
That's an interesting one. I don't know, really. I don't know. If from the accounting perspective, what is it? What does it come to, Mr. Maybe Nevermind can help with that as well. From an accounting perspective, are you going to subtract or not?
From an accounting perspective, it's an asset because you own it, and you can put a value on it, and it can be part of your balance sheet.
So,
So from an accounting point of view, it's an asset. But I'm not sure in real life, is it an asset or a
And is it
liability now?
is it possible to sell a liability? Can you sell a liability?
You can't sell a liability. You can't sell a
But
liability.
you can sell your own house.
You can sell
no,
your own house.
wait, I
And
think you can sell a liability, though. I think you can.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I
Well,
should understand what you mean when you say you can't sell a liability.
okay. A liability, it's those are the things that you owe. For example, you owe rent, you owe someone a loan, you
Yeah,
owe from other people.
yeah,
So
yeah.
from Roger's perspective, you can't sell what you owe someone. You have an obligation to pay back.
Yes.
So a liability is just having an obligation to
Yeah,
pay now or in future.
yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Let's hear from Livette. Let's see.
Thank you for that opportunity. So from what the two gentlemen are sharing, I can say a house can be both an asset and a liability, but now it depends with the context, because looking at the most prominent entrepreneurs, you will find out that for example, Elon Musk doesn't have a permanent residence where he can say there is his house. The reason behind it, in one of these interviews, he said a house itself is a liability when I am staying there, when that house is not bringing in the money. So I think depending on the context, if you are using your house as like maybe for part of your collateral or something to keep, like you're putting a value on it for maybe for your kids or something like that, it can be an asset. But when it comes to giving you the time according to the definition that you have put forth before the beginning of the conversation, I think a house could be a liability in that case.
Okay, so based on the definition, let's get some closure on this based on the definition. So that we move to the next image. So based on the definition, Livette, asset or liability in this case, the personal house.
Liability.
Never mind, based on the definition that we gave earlier. A personal house.
A personal house, it becomes a liability.
Okay,
Because
Roger, what do you for?
Okay, the majority wins.
Yes, the majority wins. Okay, let me get one more view. Your company, what do you for? Asset liability, personal house, based on the definition.
And if it's replacing the rent I'm to pay out there, am I not replacing a liability?
Okay, so I just want to get your perspective. Is a personal house an asset or a liability based on the definition? Like, where are you going to fall on?
Based on that, it's not bringing in money or currency. It's going to be a liability based on the definition.
Okay, interesting. But there's a lot to argue about if we loosen the definition, right? Okay, let's proceed with the rest of the pictures, and then maybe we can establish a pattern. Okay, so how about a personal car? I'll start with Nyokabe. Asset liability, what do you think?
Liability.
Liability, Livette.
Liability.
Okay. How about Roger?
Okay, no, let's first finish, then I'll contribute later on.
Elizabeth, what do you think? Personal car, asset liability.
I'd also say it's a liability.
Okay. you'd go for liability.
Yes.
I haven't heard from you, so for you, I'll ask for a reason.
Okay, because a car depreciates in value,
Mhm.
but I would take a different perspective with the house, because
Okay.
in the event that the owner of the house decides to sell that house, it will appreciate in value, unlike the
Mhm.
car, which will be depreciating.
Okay. But you know that it's not every house that appreciates in value, right? It depends on where you buy the house. Because
Oh,
even
yes.
when it comes to city planning, a city has got its lifespan as well. There's a point when the city is going to be at the peak. There's a point when there's going to be a new city that people are looking at. You get what I mean, right? Like there are all these
Oh,
changes
yeah.
that happen in the market, yeah. So it's not always the case that
Yes.
the house that you buy is going to appreciate in
Yeah.
value. So
Yes.
how about that perspective?
Yeah. Well, concerning that, yeah, you are right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay,
I
that's
agree with
interesting.
you.
So, but the car you're saying liability because it depreciates in value. Basically, that's
Yes.
following. Okay. I appreciate that feedback. Never mind. How about you? What are you
Yeah,
falling?
no, I have a question.
Yes.
Um, it's probably it's not related to your question, but
Yes.
I just want to understand why people measure success based on the type of a car that one drives, if it's not an asset. For example,
Yeah.
people who are millionaires or
Mhm.
multi-millionaires, they
Mhm.
drive the Royal Royce, the Lamborghinis, and
Yes.
all those Porsche cars.
Yes.
I just want to get an understanding why do most successful people or those people that say they have money, they
Yeah.
drive these cars. If it's not an asset, it's a liability.
Anyone to take that?
Let me take it. Let me take it.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I was saying, let us first of all go through all the pictures, then I'll comment later on. My understanding is a car like this one
Mm.
can be an asset.
Mhm.
And why can it be an asset? If you use it in a certain way, this is going to bring in currency in your pocket. If you go to the bank and you want to get a loan, they will ask you, what are you going to put as a collateral? If you have a car, you can use that. And from my understanding, that is now bringing money into your pocket.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then number two, a type of a vehicle that you are driving will give you access to certain contracts that you are going to go into. If you have a VITS, for example, then you go and compete with, in fact, even just when you go and park it there, someone will
Yes.
even say, I know this one cannot have the amount of money needed to be awarded this contract. Thank
Why?
you.
That's why I never buy this. Asking why.
Yeah, so
Thank,
basically, so basically, those people who drive big vehicles, the idea behind that, it is something that is going to aid them striking or having an opportunity to give the first impression. And at the end of the day, they receive the contracts, for example, they are looking for.
Interesting
thank you very
perspective.
much, Roger. That's the point that I wanted to drive. That
Mm.
most people who are successful, they drive very good cars. Not
Mhm.
necessarily that they like to show off, but it's a
Mm.
way of showing people that they have the capacity to do business with you. So it
Mhm.
becomes a marketing strategy to
Mhm.
have a very good car. You can't go and meet a bank manager in a Vitz like what Rogers just said. And you want a 500 million loan or let's say 100,000 worth of 100,000 US worth of loan,
Mhm.
driving a Vitz. You go with a better car so that they also appreciate that their
Mhm.
money will be coming back. I think it's so this personal car, if you are using it as a marketing strategy, it becomes
It becomes
it
an
becomes
asset
an
because
asset because you are
it's part of your
using it
brand.
to get, yeah, Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Uh,
Nyokabi, you wanted to say something about the question, never mind us, right?
It's just the same thing.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, let me proceed with the pictures and then let's see what pattern we can recognize. Rental property, asset or liability? Leave it, what do you think?
Asset,
Assets, because it's putting money in your pocket.
definitely.
Elizabeth, what do you think?
It's definitely an asset.
Okay, never mind, this one is an asset as well.
no, it depends with the occupancy rate. It depends with the occupancy rate.
Depends on
If
occupancy rate.
Yeah, if the occupancy rate is very low, it
Yes.
can be a liability.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
good examples. I have good examples of such good buildings in Zimbabwe. We have
Okay,
one which
that's
was built
interesting.
by NASA. They were
Yeah.
targeting 2020 World Cup, the World Cup, the last World Cup that happened in
Mm.
South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they finished late that
2010
building,
World Cup.
and it was never used. And
Mm.
also, we have some buildings which are mostly in Harare, built by Old Mutual.
Mm.
The occupancy rate is very, very low,
Mm.
uh, probably less than 20%.
Mm.
So you can't say I have property. When you have such things, you don't have an asset. It's actually
Yeah.
a liability because your rents, your rentals to councils, your trading licenses, they are outweighing the benefits that you are getting.
I like this. This is
Yeah.
interesting. It really shows that these things you really people have to think. Eh? It's not like it's just about because there's this thing where people run after what is trending. Like for example, if myself I invest in a farm, for example, and then all of a sudden they see me driving a nice car, and then they come to me and say, "Bro, what did you do?" I said, "I'm a farmer." And then they even me, I should start farming, but they don't realize that there's thinking behind what is going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of thinking. There's not just you're not just doing things anyhow, yeah. So it's a very
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
it's a very interesting dynamic there. Okay, let's proceed and let's see. Personal credit card, asset, liability. Roger, what do you think?
Anyway, just like Nevermind is coming out, the
Yes.
conclusion is what is the net value or the net effect?
Eh,
Because at the end of the day, there are certain things you may look at it as a liability, but that thing is giving you access to a position where at the end of the day, there is money flowing into your pocket. But basically, a personal credit card I don't know how to defend it. It's just a liability. I can't really put much of
you
defense
can't
on
defend
it.
it. You have to
No.
pay interest at the end of the day. So that interest becomes a liability. Interesting. Never mind. How about you? You're falling where? Asset liability for personal credit card.
Yeah, I think it's a liability. Why? Because every month you are charged monthly charges. Every
Mm-hmm.
transaction you are charged, but the money is yours, and the interest rates that which accrues to the amount that is in your card, it's not very significant in comparison with the cost or the charges that are put on your account every month. I think it's a
Yvette,
liability.
what do you think?
I think it's a liability. Yeah.
Liability. Okay, let's go to the next. Businesses that will not always require your presence. Elizabeth, is this one an asset or a liability?
I would say it's an asset because it will be giving you back your time, yet it will be making money for you.
Okay. Interesting perspective there. Nyokabi, what do you think about this one?
If I'm earning when I'm eating, I think it's
Mm.
an asset.
It's an asset. It's a flex where you go like I'm earning while taking a shower. It's a flex.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that feedback. Never mind. What do you think?
I think it's an asset because with this one you are leveraging your time. You are using your money to leverage on your time, on other people's time. You are using your money to leverage on other people's time. So
Okay.
this one is an asset. This one is a smart deal.
This one's a smart deal. Olivier, how about yours? What's your view?
Yeah, actually, it's actually an asset because you are getting your time and you are not supposed to be there as well. So I think it's 100% an asset.
Okay. Interesting perspective there. Let's proceed to the next image. Livette, what do you think? Stocks that don't pay dividends, asset or liability?
Yeah, I think these ones could be an asset depending on the economic status or how the economy is going to run. Because, for example, let me give you an example of I was listening to one of the one of videos saying in 2003 3,000 units of Tesla which were not payable were just costing 3,000 but by 2025 they are costing around $3 million. But by that time they were not able to give dividends, but you can actually hold them or 100% sell them. So I think, yeah, this one could be risky but an asset.
Okay. But it's not putting money in your pocket. That's an interesting.
It's a long-term investment.
But
Okay.
you know what? You know
Yes.
what? Basically there are two reasons for buying stocks. The first one is to get dividends. The other one is for value appreciation. So you can decide to buy stocks just for value appreciation, especially for those stocks that you know their value is going up. For example, the Tesla. You know, Elon Musk is planning to go to the moon in 2027. If he successfully goes to the moon, then his shares will go up, and you benefit from that. So I think it can be an asset if you are holding it for value appreciation, not necessarily for dividends.
Okay.
Wait, just a question there before I think I lose it.
Yes.
Is going to the moon an asset or a liability?
For who? For Elon Musk or for
For Elon Musk.
for him it's an
You,
asset. Ah, okay.
you, you,
Ish.
remember, you remember last time we were watching a video when the then president of America, Kennedy, in the 1970s, just announced that we we are planning to go to the moon, and the dollar appreciated just by
Yeah,
announcing. Yeah,
yeah.
just by announcing that they're planning to go to the moon. That was in the 1970s. The dollar, the US dollar appreciated. So I think to Elon Musk, it's money.
Okay.
Going to the moon is money.
From my perspective, going to the moon for Elon Musk is a liability. Now that I think about it, based on the definition that we're looking at, putting money in your pocket and the like, or currency, because the project of going to the moon is not necessarily giving him any money, but he can afford to do it for the sake of the real asset that he has. The real asset that he has is the Tesla company, or the SpaceX company. That's the real asset that's put money in his pocket, not necessarily him going to the moon. I don't know if my logic is making sense.
Okay. Why I asked this question, actually, it was a deliberate question because what is going uh, in my mind is, I think, beyond the definition that we gave. I feel we shouldn't just concentrate on putting money in your pocket, and we look at the pocket as my pocket. This trousers has a pocket. I think there
Yeah,
we're
you have
going
a
to
point
miss it.
there. You have
Yes,
a point there.
because putting money into your pocket when this man goes to the moon and his shares, the value of the share the shares go up, that is putting money into the pocket. That's why I was saying it depends on how you are using certain, I mean anything, whatever object or is it object you have. The way you're using it may qualify it to be a liability or an asset. Most of us, just riding on what Mr. Rivet said, most of us, when you buy shares, what we expect to see at the end of the day is a dividend. Okay? When you go to business people, they will tell you what type of a shareholder would you want to be? Is it an ordinary shareholder, or I've forgotten that other name? Why do they give you those options? Ordinary shareholders, you can run a business or a company for years without getting a dividend because your focus is to grow the business. But preference shareholders, with them it's a must. They are paid a fixed dividend with or without what? Profit. Okay? So we cannot say because ordinary shareholders did not have money coming in their pocket in form of dividend, then this stock is not an asset. No, there is growth in their what? In their value. So that is my understanding.
That's interesting. This has been actually very interesting conversation, because if we go back to the definition, okay, if you go back to the definition where I presented to you that an asset is able to put currency in your pocket, not necessarily the pocket trousers of the pocket, like Roger was saying, but it's able to bring in cash flow, and it's about to give you back your time. Now, the word I've used is very deliberate. Cash flow. It's a deliberate term. Okay. This is what I want to present as an understanding to everyone today, and then I want to see how we can take this angle. The reason why Robert Kiyosaki, who coined this term to say an asset puts money in your pocket, is because from his understanding, he understood that the way the rich manage their finances compared to anyone else in the world is very unique. Because what rich people do is that rich people focus on cash flow. I'll give it from my perspective on how I understood it, okay? Why cash flow is important. From my understanding, I have seen people who held, for example, very strong positions in government. And then when you're holding those strong positions in government, you have access to money. Now, what do you do with that money? You buy the so-called assets. You buy homes, you buy land, you buy different things. You buy shares in companies and things like that. But yet, despite these investments in assets that this person has done, when the position ends, okay, the position comes to an end, you find the quality of life that the person is living reduces drastically, okay, compared to the life that they used to live. But this person has bought assets. Why? Can anyone explain that dilemma?
I think before I explain anything, number one, I've seen Purity. She's in. I want her to explain on cash flow. Yes, Purity. Sorry, I'm putting on the goggles because I was told that I look like a professor, so that at
You
least
look like
I
a
can come
professor,
out.
you put on the goggles.
Yes, yes. So, Madam Purity, please help on
I
the
don't
cash.
know if she'll be able to participate because she was driving when she was joining. So I'm not sure if she
Okay.
understood. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But
okay, thank you.
Pretty, if you can hear us, would like to hear from you when you're settled down. Yeah, I'm sure she'll get back once she can. Now, Mr. Roger, you can go ahead now and maybe pick up with the conversation as you needed.
Yeah. Anyway. First of all, when you talk of cash flow, in our field, they say the best way to measure how well the company is performing or the business is performing is by checking your cash flow statement. Okay?
Yes.
But unfortunately, the cash flow statement does not include certain benefits or certain areas which a profit and loss account includes.
Exactly, yes.
You understand?
And there's,
So as
there's a
much as
reason for that. Yeah.
yes, so as much as we
Yeah.
may say no, we concentrate on cash flow. Sometimes you can also be misled because in the near future, what the cash flow statement cannot pick will be maybe shown, or the fruits will be seen in the near future. So from my end, I think dwelling much on cash flow sometimes may be misleading. Thank you.
Okay, so for me, what I want to understand is, I think why does the company focus on cash flow to begin with?
The main reason why I asked the authority to try and come in. Sorry, in our local language, we say "va" is
yes, va.
giving respect in case. Yeah. Okay. So why I wanted for you to come in and try to shed more light, because I was trying to connect this topic cash flow to
Yes.
business modeling.
Financial modeling. Yeah.
Yes, financial
Yes.
modeling. Okay. That's the main reason why I wanted that to come in, because for me, cash flow is just something that is going to make you, to help you in budgeting your expenses and your what? Most especially budgeting your expenses. Because if you don't have cash, it'd be very difficult for you to pay, let's say for those who are running companies, to pay workers, to make purchases. You go and buy. You
Yes.
understand? Yes.
Yes, I get you. So from my understanding, okay, I think that's why I'm trying to use the perspective of somebody who accumulates assets, but the quality of life reduces. Okay, from my understanding, if you have assets, but you're not focusing on your cash flow, eventually those assets will be no more. Especially, I think we see it in families. The one who owns the assets passes away, passes on to the next generation, and then that next generation, for them, what they focus on as well, liquidating the assets, and life goes on. The struggle continues. So I think that is where the emphasis on managing cash flow comes in, because at the end of the day, an asset can be able to appreciate in value, but at the same time, it can be able to put money in your pocket. And I think that's the perspective that Robert Kiyosaki uses when he says that is the best kind of asset. One that can accumulate in value, one that you own, you can control it, it appreciates, at the same time, it puts money in your pocket. Because if it doesn't put money in your pocket, ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to sell that asset and you waste the money. I think that's where and I think within a company, it applies with a company, because if a company is not having cash flow, what happens? They liquidate, and just to have that cash flow. And when they liquidate, you find the company gets in a weaker position to some level.
I think a cash flow is very important in a business, because it's more like the lifeblood of a business. You may have your your cash generating assets, because for you to survive as a business, you need cash generating assets, those that we have agreed that they are assets. So what happens that those assets, they generate cash for you, and you take that cash, probably, let's say you are in a hardware business, you take that cash and you buy more items, you resell them. That cash flow conversion cycle, it's coming from your asset generating, your cash generating assets. So it's very important, because when you don't have cash, and if you fail to manage well your cash cycle, it means one way or the other, you will not be having stock to sell. So you need to balance your cash flow in such a way that you always have something running through the business. So if you are using, let's say, 100,000 every month to replenish your stock, if you are growing, you need to have more than 100,000 ready to buy more stock, so that you can also keep selling, and also keep buying, and also keep growing. So I think cash flow, the difference between cash flow and profit and loss is that the profit and loss accounts for other things like depreciation, amortization, which is not accounted in the cash flow because they are not cash related. But it also gives you, it also shows the importance of some of the things. Like, for example, if you account depreciation, you know that in the next 2 years, my vehicle or my delivery van will be no more. And that will also help you to
manage the
keep
cash
enough, exactly, to keep enough cash flow to replace that vehicle. So those things, they work hand in hand, the cash flow and the profit and loss. But you really need to make sure that the cash flow is able to sustain the business. It's able to cover your obligation. It also be able to cover your investments. Thank you.
I hear you. Okay, so we are running out of time. We need to get into our last segment so that we conclude for the day. But I think what I just want to emphasize based on this discussion is the reason why the author decided to draw the world. It's not only Robert Kiyosaki is a worldwide recognized author, okay? The reason why he decided to draw people's attention to cash flow is because he noticed that as far as managing our personal lives is concerned, we barely focus on cash flow. We focus on buying a house, buying a car. You know, I own a house, I own a car, I've bought some rental property, I have some stock, but we never really ask, how are we managing our cash flow? Do we have enough cash coming in compared to the cash coming out? That is a question that the world or people would barely ask themselves. So Robert Kiyosaki was actually a game changer for people because he gave people a way to he personalized cash management. He was the first one, I think, actually to do it to that level, because a lot of people never focused on it. And even the bank, like you said, when you go to the bank, they would never tell you about cash flow. They'll just say, where is your car? Okay, you can get the loan. Where is your house? Okay, you can get the loan. And because of that, would believe, okay, I'm safe. But then you find when you retire, things are not necessarily good after all for you. Or maybe when you pass away, you're not necessarily leaving a good life behind for your loved ones. But yeah, I think we can pick up on this conversation, especially on the cash flow aspect, as we proceed with our other lessons. For now, let's just get into our last segment where we can just look into a very interesting company. I think we have talked about this company even on this forum a couple of times just now. And we have talked about the founder, Steve Jobs. We've also talked about Steve Wozniak. This company speaks into the whole idea of innovation. I think it's the best innovation story I have ever found. So, and we know, I think, to be successful in anything that we do, we need that spirit of innovation, if you can put it in that way. We need to be innovative. So maybe let's just look into this story, 10 minutes, and then maybe we can discuss a few points about what we have identified from the story, and then we can close for the day. So see you shortly.
Hi. You live in a world where Apple, this company, is pretty much the most valuable company on earth. But it was never supposed to be like this. This almost didn't exist. But why? But let me just take you back to, oh yeah, right here. It's 1969. The baby boomers were all grown up and they hated their country. They didn't want to go fight in the war that was happening, and they had new ideas about what the world was really about. Some of that change involved technology. And as a matter of fact, some nerds were working really hard to make the first ever microchip. And some other nerd was a really big fan of this new microchip thing. But before we get to this guy, there's someone else we have to talk about who is arguably even more important to the creation of Apple. Steve Wozniak was a student who loved computers and everything about them. He would read books about their inner circuitry, work out problems by himself just as a hobby, and it was his dream to own a personal computer. But back then it was tough, because at the time computers looked like this. And that's not very personal if you ask me. But this changed in 1974 when the first ever personal computer was released, which looked like shit. Yeah, it didn't really do anything. It was a simple box with some flashing lights that you could program and make the lights flash in different orders. We had a long way to go. But luckily for us, this blew Steve Wozniak's mind and he was hooked on computers for good. Not only did this blow the mind of Steve Wozniak, but it seemed like it also blew the mind of nerds across the world, causing computer clubs in universities to form. They would come together and fiddle with this thing, discuss the inner workings of its technology, and ponder the future of computers as a whole. One of these clubs was in San Francisco, the Homebrew Computer Club, where students would bring their own little inventions using the technology available at the time. This club was the very one our good pal Steve Wozniak was a part of. And wait, oh, who's that? Steve Jobs was also home to this very same computer club, and after he watched the Steve Wozniak guy bring in his own computer week after week, the Steves eventually went up to one another and said, hey, maybe we should sell these things. Now you're probably thinking they came up with something brilliant in the garage which they called a workshop, but in 1975 the two boys released this thing. Yeah, that's right. This was actually the first device that these two geniuses ever worked on. It was a simple tool that could help you make long distance calls without having to pay. But that thing didn't take off, so they went back to the garage and made the Apple I. It didn't have a screen, it didn't have a mouse, it didn't have a keyboard, but it was able to run Angry Birds. Just kidding. The Apple I was just a circuit board that could basically do some simple calculations, and it cost a fortune at the time. 200 were ever made and 50 were sold, which resulted in a little over $30,000. Nice! Okay, well, we still have a little ways to go. $30,000 at the time wasn't bad at all. And this was all the proof that Steve Jobs needed. He knew that the future would have people that love computers, but not everyone who loves the idea of using a computer would be able to build it themselves. And the Apple I didn't really fit that new narrative. And so the two set off to make the Apple II. This time, they went with a different approach. They wanted to build a computer that was sold as the full package instead of the previous one, which was only a circuit board. The problem was, it was impossible with the technology at the time. But wait, Steve Wozniak didn't believe that. He started combining different chips and looked through manuals to find chips that could multitask. After doing that over and over, a few times later he ended up with a computer that had very few chips. Not only could this one do the same simple calculations as the Apple I, but it was also able to produce colored graphics and patterns right on the built-in screen. Cool. It's cheaper to produce, more compact, and it's even more capable than the Apple I, but it is still ugly. It's still a hunk of chips and wires, and it looked pretty threatening to someone who isn't a wizard with computers. And that's where Steve Jobs comes in. While Wozniak was the engineer behind the computers, Steve Jobs was the marketer. He was one of the first people in the world to realize that technology was not just a tool, but it could also form a personal connection with the user.
You can have many views of what a computer is. My particular view is that a computer is a new medium.
He knew just how to make something look nice, and he also knew how to sell it to people. So they fit all of this junk into a sleek, simple, friendly casing that made the computer very inviting to general consumers. And with the new design, it was clear they had no problem selling it to people because the Apple II was released in 1977, and by the end of its production life, it had sold 6 million units. Apple was now worth approximately $2 billion, which was a lot of money at the time, but that's still pretty far from what we know it as today. Due to the success, it was time for the company to kick into high gear. New management came in, and on December 12, 1980, Apple was put onto the public stock market, selling 4.6 million shares at $22 per share. By the end of the day, it's said that 300 millionaires were created with all of the people who owned these shares of Apple at the time. And things only went up from here. Just kidding. Soon after, they released the Apple III, and it was famous for being unreliable and buggy. Then they released the Lisa, which was the very first computer with a graphical user interface, just like the one you're using right now. Pretty cool, right? Apparently not. They didn't really make any good apps for it, and the computer itself was super expensive, so nobody bought it. Plus, while they were busy making Lisa, they kicked Steve Jobs off the team due to intercompany fighting. This thing sucks. I'm just gonna make the same thing, but better. And so he did. He literally said that and went on to make one of the most successful computers of all time. A computer you might know, the Macintosh. It was basically the Lisa, a computer that had a graphical user interface, or GUI for short. But this time, it was cheaper. They premiered an ad for it during the Super Bowl, and everyone called it the greatest ad of all time. And sales boomed, but then they tapered off because the reviews came out. The Macintosh still kinda sucked. It was slow, couldn't really do much, and people thought it was super expensive. And this made Steve Jobs angry. Remember when I said that new management came in? Well, one of those guys was from Pepsi, John Scully. And because of the Macintosh's criticisms, John and Steve started arguing. Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or come with me and change the world? Just get out of here. And so Steve was taken out of the position as head of Macintosh. You want me to leave? Well, I'm leaving. And by the way, the other Steve is gone too. And so Steve Jobs left to do some other stuff with this little old company called Next. Wow, look at these computers, man. They can make 3D animations? Nobody's ever seen this before. Wow, you could probably make something cool with this kind of technology. Oh my gosh. Toy Story? That's amazing. Let's check back at Apple and see what's happening without Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Oh, okay. The Macintosh 512K. Little bit of a weird name. I mean, that's cool. It has some cool publishing applications, I guess. Man, they are really raising the price of it though. I hope that doesn't come back to bite them in the... Oh shit. How the hell are we supposed to get here? Well, Apple kept making computers, but they were just missing that spark that people like Jobs and Wozniak brought to the company. Sure, they made some pretty powerful stuff and started to lower their prices as the technology became more available. They even started to get into the other entertainment markets like CDs and game systems. Actually, we probably shouldn't talk about the game system. They had a new CEO, Gil Amelio, and he started to make some changes to help the failing company. But something was coming. Something really bad.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates, chairman of Microsoft.
Microsoft started making computers, and they started making computers that were cheaper than Apple and just as good. The Apple computers were expensive and boring, and even though the Microsoft ones were also boring, at least they were cheaper. Not only was Microsoft on their tail, but it seemed like everyone was just getting into the computer markets, and the demand for Apple devices was becoming smaller and smaller. Apple was just weeks away from bankruptcy, and this was it for Gil. Okay, we gotta get him back. And so, Apple purchased Next in 1996 for $400 million. And with Next, they also got back Steve Jobs, which immediately made Gil resign, where Jobs then became the CEO in 1997. He threw 70% of the company's projects in the garbage, fired 3,000 people, and with the extra money that was now saved, he bought a bunch of companies that were making Apple clone computers. Now that they worked for him, it was time to put all of their brains together to make the best computer possible. On May 6, 1998, Apple introduced their newest all-in-one computer reminiscent of the original Macintosh, the iMac. By the way, keep that I in mind for later. The iMac was a huge success, with 800,000 units sold in the first 5 months, and it was responsible for major shifts in the industry. It used USB, it could connect to the internet right out of the box, and it just looked cool. Like I said before, Steve Jobs was the guy to make things marketable, and he brought back Apple's spark. A year later in 1999, they made the iBook, which is pretty much the iMac but in laptop form. But that name was a little bit weird though. Maybe they'll work on it. Remember when people complained that the original Macintosh didn't have enough apps? Well, this time they fixed it. Steve Jobs was coming off the tail of his movie career, and he wanted to bring that fun to Apple. They made video editing software, DVD burners, music making software, and also one that allowed you to listen to those CDs that you owned called iTunes. Apple was now building a little ecosystem of devices and software. But where were they going to sell this stuff? Oh, they just opened a store. Okay, cool. Maybe that'll take off. Who knows? Anyways, iTunes was cool and all, but who the heck sits at their desk and just listens to music? Don't you want to, like, I don't know, go outside? Maybe you want to listen to music while you're exercising or on the bus or something. We need some kind of, I don't know, a device that's mobile.
We have something really exciting for you today. We lured you here today with the promise of unveiling a breakthrough digital device that's not a Mac. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And we are introducing a product today that takes us exactly there. And that product is called iPod.
The iPod is here. 100 million units sold in 6 years. It was massively successful. The iTunes Store became a thing, allowing you to buy songs on the internet that you could take with you anywhere. Apple was now valued at $72 billion. We're back on track, baby. But to be honest, we're still really far from that other number. You know, $3 trillion? But hey, maybe we can get there with this mobile device thing. I mean, the iPod is pretty cool, but what if it could do more? Maybe like make phone calls or something? Nah, I saw this thing called the BlackBerry and it kinda sucks. There's this tiny little keyboard, it's too hard to use, and it's trying to do way too much at once. But I just made a prototype of what an Apple phone could look like. It's too big. No one will want to carry this chunky thing around in their pocket. My grandma can make a better design. How about I just make it a bit smaller? Can we sell it then? I mean, you could try.
This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years. Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. Today, we're introducing 3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
The iPhone sold 270,000 units in 30 hours. It was Apple's most successful device launch in history. Apple Computer Incorporated was renamed to Apple Inc. due to the company's shift in priorities. Mobile devices were the future. This device was called a game changer for the industry. It was a camera, it was a personal planner, it was a notebook, it was an alarm clock, it was an entire computer with a touchscreen in the palm of your hand. Apple knew they were onto something. They knew that this phone could do infinite things. But infinity is a big number for one company to handle. So they created the App Store, which allowed developers to create their own applications for the iPhone and iPod Touch. Within a month, the store had sold over 60 million applications and had a daily revenue of over $1 million. By October 2008, Apple was the 3rd largest mobile device supplier in the world due to the success of the iPhone. Apple was now worth $180 billion, and it was just going to keep going up from there. Why not make the phone bigger? Boom! They created the iPad, and millions of kids across the globe bought it just to watch. Apple kept releasing iterations of the iPhone year after year and continued to make their own applications such as FaceTime and iMessages, building their ecosystem up more and more as their valuation just kept skyrocketing. Apple became the most valuable consumer-facing business in the world, and it was looking unstoppable. Unfortunately, there was a problem.
And as some of you may know, about 5 months ago, I had a liver transplant. I'd like to take a moment and thank everybody in the Apple community for the heartfelt support I got too.
In 2011, Steve Jobs announced that he would be leaving the company to focus on his health. The COO of Apple, Tim Cook, took over Jobs' day-to-day operations at Apple. In a surprise, Steve Jobs took the stage in 2011 to announce iCloud for the last time.
So I get to talk about iCloud. We've been working on this for some time now, and we're really excited about it.
And on October 5th, 2011, Steve Jobs died from complications with cancer. It was time for a new era of Apple. With Tim Cook leading the charge, he was determined to keep Jobs' dream alive. Innovation was still non-stop, and the company was only about to get larger. In 2012, Apple released the iPhone 4S with Siri, the first digital voice assistants that had everyone going crazy. They released the iPhone 5 with better displays, the iPad mini, the MacBook Pro, a new iMac, and a Mac Mini. In 2012, Apple was valued at a record $624 billion. They worked with Dr. Dre to make some sick headphones. In 2014, they announced the Apple Watch. In 2016, Apple announced that over 1 billion Apple devices were in active use worldwide. In 2017, they made smart speakers, streaming services, and funded their own films. But in 2017, they changed the look of the iPhone forever with the iPhone X, removing the home button and completely changing the way that the phone felt. The company was valued at over $2 trillion by the end of 2020. Now we're cooking. We're almost to where we're at today. But speaking of cooking, what does Tim Cook have to say? Looks like we've got the phones down. But something's wrong with the other side of things. We keep ignoring our MacBooks and iMacs. I mean, look at them. They're built with parts that aren't even ours. We literally just put the things together and make the shell. So Apple threw out all of the Intel processors and produced the Apple M1 chip. It was faster, more efficient, and overall more powerful than all of the other previous models. And hey, look at that. The price of the computers actually became cheaper because Apple was making the chips themselves. This was one of the last pieces to the Apple puzzle. We're pretty much at present day. We've hit our $3 trillion valuation mark. The iPhone is at its peak, and so is the Mac lineup. But hold on. What's this? Apple filing trademarks for something called Reality OS and a bunch of other virtual reality technology along with AI. Huh. It looks like there's just one more thing. The Apple Vision Pro is here, and for the first time in a while, we've got a brand new Apple device. It's not a phone, it's not a...
Where is my Samsung? I was just thinking within myself to say, if these people did it, we can. What do you think?
It's
Yes, yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
This was an amazing motivation, innovation, I don't know, innovation kind of arrangement where we get motivated. Honestly speaking, I've been motivated.
But what I've learned from what I've learned from this clip, I think you need to keep on innovating, especially these guys who are in the technology industry. You need to keep on looking for looking for what the public is expecting or your clients are expecting, and you keep on innovating. And also the other thing is resilience. These guys, they keep on trying their best, despite having some downfalls in the 1980s, but they challenged the status quo and did massive action. Their innovations in the after 1990 were quite amazing, because we see they introduced the smartwatches, and they also introduced new phones. They introduced new things that were aligned to the expectations of their clients. So I think the greatest thing that inspired me is that they keep on innovating, and also they keep on looking at what their clients were expecting. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Nevermind. Welcome back, Msonda.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can now.
Okay, I think I just had a terrible drop in connectivity, so for the sake of concluding, I'll just keep my video off for now. And I was just hearing what Nevermind was talking about, and I also wanted to just add on to that and just talk about how innovation, from also my understanding, is something that is very vital, not just even in the tech industry, but in everything that we do. I think innovation simply means not accepting to get comfortable, and not accepting to remain with the status quo. We always ask ourselves what can be possible. Every time we ask ourselves what can be possible, whenever we see a challenge, we will never conclude and say, okay, this is how it's going to be, or this is how things should be, right? Yeah, I think the story of Apple proves that really. For me, when I look at the story of Apple, what comes to mind is always asking myself what can be possible. And with that perspective, our lives will be so much better than they are actually. Yes. So can I go ahead and take the concluding rights? So Mr. Roger, you can go ahead and do that.
Thanks, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, that's okay. I would like to appreciate everybody for joining us today. Those watching us online, thanks for watching us, and thanks for catching us this Tuesday. For those of us who joined with the Zoom to interact, I appreciate. Thank you very much. Remember, Zoom is the place to join if you want to interact. See, brilliant minds here. The conversations were flowing, eh? Brilliant minds here. So if you want to interact and get to learn from people and just get that experience, all-round experience, feel free to join in with the Zoom. But YouTube as well, you can catch us and just join us in the interaction. You can also comment in the comments and stick with us. So we'll keep on doing our best to bring better and better content to you in line with developing our minds and getting more financial literate. So with that said, I'd like to bring this forum to a close and Mog out, the Pioneers team out, everyone out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Blessed night.
Bye-bye and thank you.